right, welcome everyone. Your next episode of Profit Club and Profit Club Academy, and a blast from the past. My long-time mentor, Jamie Hayes, who probably doesn't even know he's a mentor of mine. I've been following Jamie for about 30 years since I burst onto the fitness industry. Jamie, thanks for joining us on Profit Club.
Hey, Paul, it's a pleasure to be here and look forward to interacting with some of your members.
Makes me question, why has it taken me 30 years to get Jamie Hayes on Profit Club? This has been going for a long time, and I thought, I should get Jamie on, and it was just took me too long. What am I doing?
Or maybe I didn't pay attention to you, or you didn't pay attention to me. We're all busy building our empires.
We'll see how we go. Let me do the formal introduction of Jamie. He's a renowned expert in weight loss and fitness, distinguished career dedicated to helping individuals achieve their health and wellness goals. He and his beautiful wife, Ellen, have owned and operated 9 fitness businesses, plus they've created both franchise and licensed businesses. And I got involved with Jamie. He was one of the key lecturers and speakers in the fitness industry back when I first started nearly 30 years ago. And I'd go to all of Jamie's presentations at the conferences, and I learned a lot about business, because you wouldn't even know this, Jamie. In those days, there wasn't much of a business strand for physios. So I was getting it from you guys. So I was going to business strands. So I cut my teeth learning the business of business from you.
You stole our ideas and
and I moved them over to health and fitness. He's the founder of Diet Flex, weight loss coaching, provides comprehensive systems, marketing, training, and resources for businesses to quickly launch effective weight loss programs in person and via Zoom without being dependent on nutrition qualifications. He's known for his insightful eating tips for weight loss and dedicated to reducing tummy fat through practical dietary advice. He's a motivational speaker, and he's passionate activist against childhood obesity. And he's also the brains behind lowcarbdownunder.com.au with over 500,000 subscribers, further showcasing his commitment. And he was in the Body Express, Jamie, original. We'll talk about that as we go through.
Yeah, sure.
That's the glorified Jamie Hayes.
Quick correction. Low Carb Down Under, we did in partnership with Dr. Rod Taylor, and he now completely runs it. So all credit to Dr. Rod Taylor.
Well done. And 500,000 subscribers.
Oh, yeah, he's done a fantastic job. Yeah.
Wow. So that's the glorified version of Jamie Hayes. Give me the real story. Take us back. How did this all eventuate? And we always delve into the history of our guests. Tell us about the real Jamie Hayes history.
Well, I started in the 70s, in the insurance business, and a friend invited me to go and do one of these newfangled aerobics classes. It was challenging, physically challenging. The instructors were sexy and whatever, but the mind shift came. We went to the Paddington Hotel after that for a lemon squash, and the women in the pub with all their wallpaper paint on, compared to the women whom I previously enjoyed their company, compared to the women in the club, they were no longer as attractive. So instead of spending my time closing bars at night and things like that, I spent time in the gym and made such a nuisance of myself. I started teaching. That was before people like Gary and Nigel started fitness leader courses, and then 81 opened our first club in Castlereagh Street, Sydney.
And you got into that, and the business started. So did you know about business when you started?
No, it was just passion driven. I didn't know what I didn't know, except we just promoted the hell out of it and grew by passion, and it was super successful. As a matter of fact, in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to have a reunion with my partners whom I haven't seen for 40 years.
Wow. So, and you then opened multiple clubs. So you had the one in the city. What happened? What happened?
Oh, yeah. We eventually sold that and opened another one in Wynyard called Aerobic City in 1984. Then started opening a chain called Body Express in hotels, Brighton Ride, Bondi, Miranda, things like that. And then learned about systems and processes, in training people. And when we had 5 clubs at one time, we had to have systems and processes. Otherwise it was just a nightmare. And because what I learned is more business doesn't mean more life. So you have to be careful. You need to have scalable systems and the people to deliver those systems. So that's where I became a fan of the bloke that wrote this book, The 1 Minute Manager.
And you, in terms of the exit strategy, so what happened? Did you sell? Did you close?
Yes,
What was the
we
journey from
sold. There was 1 or 2 clubs we closed. The one at Bondi we kept for about another 8 years after. So we moved to Queensland. We had a club at Bondi, and it was immensely profitable. So we did not work in the business. We did marketing and finance, which were external to the business, but we did not work in the business. I loved, when I'd turn up to the business, it was my passion to spend time on the gym floor, going and saying hello to members, helping them, checking on their form and things like that. So I didn't want to talk about the numbers or the sales or anything like that. I was more passionate about, but out of pure discipline, businesses would not survive without marketing and sales.
Was it hard to close the last one, or what happened with the Bondi one? What was the
No.
exit?
Well, then the property got completely redeveloped, and so we decided not to stay in the business. We were external. There is some value to be able to, if you've got a place of business, there is some value to be able to walk to that business, not too far.
And so where did then move in from there? You went Diet Flex. Where did the
sorry. Then in 2002, a friend of ours in the States, in the fitness sales and marketing arena, Casey Conrad, said, I'm developing, we had a lot of brain sex talking over phone and fax and stuff like that. It said, we often talked about weight loss, which was the missing ingredient. Was the number one reason people joined the fitness club was to lose weight, but without weight loss programming, it was a bit hit and miss. And so he said, I've seen the solution, and I'm creating a franchise which can, in a small women's only center, combine weight loss with exercise in a one-stop shop. And she eventually left. We started the franchise in Australia and New Zealand, grew that, and then had some attrition, natural attrition. So we learned business lessons along the way. So most of the best business lessons I have ever learned is through pain and failure.
And that was that Diet Flex or Healthy Inspiration?
No, that was Healthy Inspiration. That's right. That was Healthy Inspiration, and that's still going in Australia and New Zealand. We have some centre owners who are immensely profitable, like 130 square metres, 150 customers with direct debit of 10,000 a week and product sales of 5,000 a week. Just unbelievable numbers out of tiny little centres. And so that's an ongoing existing franchise. But then we always saw there was a market for health and fitness businesses to have an expert weight loss system that could be delivered by non-experts that was profitable. In our early days, when we had a gym in Sydney, in Wynyard, Aerobic City, you remember that? We thought, let's try weight loss, and we'll get an expert, a dietitian, Jill McGregor, come in and run a weight loss program, coaching clients, and we would add strength training to that. People lost weight, but we didn't make any money out of it. When she left, the program fell over. It wasn't scalable, but because it was expert dependent. So we learned it's much better, from people like Michael Gerber from the E-Myth. It's much better to have expert systems that can be delivered by non-experts, but that can yield a profit for the business.
Yeah, I mean, you're heavily involved in producing it. I mentioned to you, we did a podcast a while ago. We talked about you're combining really emotional things. You're combining weight loss for people, but you're also combining revenue increasing for business owners. You put those two things together. It's genius.
Absolutely. Well, and business owners aren't necessarily charities, and a lot of businesses, unfortunately, run as charities. So they've got to have profitable programs. They've got to have, programs that make a contribution to revenue to the centre, and it has to be shown on a profit and loss statement. Because a lot of I've seen people spend bucket loads, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars on equipment and things like that they cannot demonstrate that it generates any profit. And if that's one tip, we'll get into some nitty gritty. And every business owner should have a clearly identified KPI or 1 or 2 or 3 KPIs to answer the question, is this business working for me? And they should ask their at-home partner, their wife or their husband or like that, is what would you describe as a KPI for that business? Is it the same? Now, let's say their wife, it's a fellow running a business, wife is doing something else or got some other work. She might say, can we go on holidays and do spend time with the kids?
Yep.
Really. And so her KPI might be entirely different, and that's going to affect their lives. So I would listen to her KPI. Now, sometimes boots on their foot, the business owned by a female and he's got other work, but still, you should ask your partner, what would be your KPI for the business?
Did you and Helen ever get it? Because Helen's involved in the business as well. Did you have the same vision? Did you guys match well with how you did it?
Yes, we did. And so we're both Ellen and I are both really passionate about what we do, particularly in this weight loss space. And we've both been partners in business since 1984. So she is better at the numbers and the books and things like that. But we're both involved in the marketing, and she does blogs, and I do the business coaching. So we've had really close passion about the business for a long, long time.
It makes a difference.
Conferences together. It does make a difference. Yeah,
it makes a difference. I mean, Helen and I are the same. You know my beautiful wife Helen very well.
Yeah.
So we've been very fortunate that we were the same. We had the same values, and we could always make more money, but that wasn't what was important. It was what was, and we've got 4 daughters, as you know. So it was important, and you guys did the same thing, which was interesting. But aside from all that, I want to talk today. The guts of today's call was I saw you do a presentation for our mutual great friend Steve Jensen's group about the new 1 Minute Manager. I know you've been all over the 1 Minute Manager since it started years and years ago, and I want to pick your brains on the new 1 Minute Manager and how it relates to what's happening currently in the world business marketplace. So, do you want to take us through your take of the new 1 Minute Manager and how we can use it in our practices?
Absolutely.
A lot of people might never know about it.
Well, absolutely. And it all came from, when I read this book many, many decades ago, because most businesses don't have the answer to the question, how we manage around here. They just don't have a system for management. And then
which is the 1 Minute Manager book by Ken Blanchard and Spencer Johnson.
Yeah.
So that was what, 30 years ago? How long? When
absolutely. And there's been a huge, sort of industry of 1 minute, different series, 1 minute salesperson, things like that, but all taught by parable. The Bible is a parable. People learn by stories. So it's fascinating if anybody's interested in writing a book like you have written. The book.
1 minute. I wrote the 1 Minute Practice. People, Jamie, still say to me, "I've read your book, The 1 Minute Manager," and I'm almost waiting for the letter from Spencer Johnson and stuff about, "Hey, Paul, you can't do that." But the 1 Minute Practice, that wasn't taken from it, but it was certainly, the principle was certainly part of it. It's the 1 Minute Practice, which is the 1 minute.
Yeah. So, but I'd like to show, your members why having a management process is just so important to them and how easy it is to implement. So if you don't mind, do you mind if I share a few slides? And
now for those watching, for those listening, you can go to the online version and watch the presentation, but we'll explain it as we go along. So you'll equally get great value. But Jamie's going to share some slides that he's going to go through. So this is on the video version. You'll see the slides.
Yep.
Just share away, Jamie. Let's see what.
And we'll just talk those through, and you ask any questions you like, as we're going through. Can you see that clearly, Paul?
Yes, I can. It says the new 1 Minute Manager.
Yeah, it's a new 1 Minute.
Jamie.
And look, and if you can get this at the library, the old one, really it doesn't matter. The principles are very similar. The new one's a bit more PC, so let's dive in. Firstly, Paul, let's look at the organization chart of your business or your members' business, because we need to improve that. Firstly, we've got the owners. Let's say it's Jack and Jill own the business. They're the business owners, and they have 2 KPIs: profit, how much cash it splits out, and lifestyle. And Paul, here's a little thing for you. If you want to have an equation for lifestyle, It is the 50 minus the number of hours you work each week. So, for instance, let's say 50, you only work 40 hours a week. Your score is positive 10.
Yep.
Let's say you only
Okay.
work 30 hours a week in your business. Your score is a positive 20. But let's say you work 60 hours a week in your business. Your score is minus 10.
Minus 10.
So it's really, as a lifestyle score, how many hours do you work in and on your business?
So the angle Jamie was saying, we've got 50 hours at our disposal from this analysis. We've got anything more than that, you're going to really struggle to get much lifestyle, because that 50 hours is going to be taken up by your business, or is being taken up by your business now.
Yeah, that's right. And personal story. When we had 5 clubs in Sydney, Ellen said, and at that stage we had 2 sons with another one on the way. Yeah. You are not spending time with your sons. And this was years going by, and I was completely focused on the business, and I wasn't a good father. And I really regret that. I can't get those years back. So
can't get them back.
You can't get it back. So let's separate ownership with management.
Okay. So what Jamie's got here, guys, there's owners at the top with Jack and Jill, the profit and lifestyle. And then underneath the owners, we've got a manager or management, which might be the same person.
That's right. Yeah. And so in this case, Jack and Jill are the owners, but Jill is the manager of the business. And her number 1 KPI, which is in sync with the owners, is profit.
Yep.
Now, they might have a second KPI, like, for instance, I know in fitness industries, direct debit growth. Is your direct debit revenue increasing or going backwards?
Mm-hmm. In a health practice, it might be billable hours, or it might be revenue per month, calendar revenue generated per month.
Revenue per month. Absolutely. Now, what does the manager need to do in order to achieve this? And it really follows the new client flow. Firstly, we've got marketing. Mm-hmm. Getting people aware of it. But how do we judge the KPI for marketing? Let's say Jack is responsible for marketing, give him some work, which is number of inquiries, or we often call leads, and cost per lead. How much is he spending on marketing? Any business owner could spend $5,000 on the local newspaper for a full-page ad. They might get some inquiries, but the cost per lead would be way too high.
Yeah.
Hopefully that marketing leads to sales opportunity. And if people haven't listened to Steve Jensen, your previous guest, his presentation, go back and re-listen to it, because most businesses do not have a sales process. Mm-hmm. They just do not have a sales process. So let's say Jill's responsible for sales. What's her KPI? How many sales appointments do we have? How many sales do we make? What was our conversion rate? What was the yield? What was the quality of the sales?
Interesting you say that, Jamie. One of our colleagues did a lecture at a physio conference in the USA not that long ago, and he stood up at the front and he said to the audience, who are all practice owners, "How many of you guys have a sales team? Who's got a sales team?" No one put their hand up. He said, "How many of you guys have an admin team member, admin person?" And everyone put their hand up. He said, "They're your sales team. They've got no sales process to train that admin person on. They think they just come and answer the phone. That's all they got to do," which, as you know, is ridiculous, but that's how they do it.
They're probably bleeding money.
Yes.
I'll quickly tell a story. Our franchisees around the country were saying the marketing's not working. And so one morning, we mystery shopped every one of our centres. We were perfectly nice about it. We weren't being, creating objections and things like that. It was over the phone with a phone call. Then in the afternoon, we rang back those centres and asked, "Have you had any inquiries this morning or today?" And most of them went to the centre diary where they log leads and inquiries and things like that. Half of them said the phone hasn't even rung. Yep. So money was slipping through their fingers. They didn't have a sales process, So anyway, let's keep on going. This is hurting, isn't it?
And I think again, going back to where you've got this number of 50 you had, if you're already seeing 30 hours a week worth of patients as a physio, chiro, osteo, podiatrist, and then even more than that, and then you're trying to run the business on top of it, and then you're trying to feed your family, and there's no bandwidth to have a sales process.
Which means you have to do something different.
Yeah.
You really do. And this, I think the 1 Minute Manager provides a process for doing that. And so there's hopefully it's going to be a real takeaway. Finally, let's get to the service, delivering your product. Let's say Jill's responsible for that. It'll be different KPIs for different industries. You say billable hours, but it might be retention, also secondary spend. That's very important for businesses, but in both goods and services, cross-selling, things like that. And then word of mouth referrals. Do you have a process for generating referrals, picking up Google reviews from happy clients, things like that? And finally, you've got finance. Let's say Jack's responsible for finance. That's receivables, sending out invoices, things like that. Payables, paying the rent, paying the wages, things like that. BAS. And reporting to the business owners, Jack and Jill, so that around the kitchen table, they can look at a profit and loss statement and their bank balance by the 15th of every month, saying, to answer the question, how's the business going?
Mm. So that summary you had then, Jamie, that's the 1 minute, the new 1 Minute Manager principle, or this is yours?
No, that's actually straight from Michael Gerber's Ether Myth. Okay. And what we're going to do is use the 1 Minute Manager. Let me continue. So this is where it's interesting. Okay, so let's continue here. And what you've got on the slide, because for those you've got managing. It's an org chart.
Yeah, so we've got owners on the top, manager underneath it, which may be the same person. And underneath, we've got 4 different boxes. We've got marketing, sales, service, and finance. And you've got on the side there of the slide, Jamie, managing the business versus managing the people. Is that what this is? What
hold that on? Let's hold on to that thought.
Right.
You really picked up that, because I'm going to make a suggestion. You can't manage people. I'll get to it. Let's hold it.
Okay, I'm holding my horse.
Let's say the owner or the manager, Jill, wants more time with the family to increase her lifestyle. So she's going to have to train Sally in sales to achieve the same KPIs. And train Sam, the new employee, in managing the services.
Yep.
So Jill, the manager, needs a process to train these people and manage these people. And she doesn't have a process yet. When she went to school or university, she never did a course how to manage people. And remember, I'm suggesting you can't manage people, but that's where the 1 Minute Manager comes in. And notice here, for those who can't see this on screen, I've drawn a box around the business. That box is the 4 walls of the business. Notice how marketing is external to the 4 walls, finance is external to the 4 walls, ownership is external to the 4 walls. And notice here also, Jill's been so clever, she promoted Sally, who was the sales manager, to the manager. So Jack and Jill are now owners. They're shareholders in the business, but they do not work in the business. This is a pathway to creating a business that works for you.
Yeah, I like the walls, because you've effectively moved owners out of the box, marketing and finance out of the box. We've now got manager, sales, and service inside the 4 walls of the business.
Definitely. And just here's a little cautionary tip. Until you've got other people doing the key functions in your business, do not expand to other locations.
Yeah.
You are going to create pain, and you are going to make yourself vulnerable.
Yeah.
Once you can take yourself out of those primary functions within the 4 walls of the business, so you can and the test of that, can you go for a month holiday with a family in Italy or to Disneyland or something like that and still maintain the same profitability? That's a very simple test. Yeah. Can you even consider it?
I mean, you proved that you and Ellen moved to Brisbane, for goodness sake, and you still had your business. Helen and I moved to Newcastle, so we moved away from 5 of our locations. So can you do that? And that's you've put the box around the business and you've made it reproducible.
Absolutely, but you have to do it with strategic intent. Your decision. Right. This is what I want out of the business. Okay, does this make sense? Yeah. Now, I stole something from your website.
You did.
Yes, it is possible to earn more, work less, and enjoy life as a health business owner because we have done it.
We did.
So I'm just echoing the very words that came out of your mouth. So it is possible, definitely possible.
Because you did it. Because lots of people have done it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So who's this for? Who's the 1 minute manager? Because ultimately, do I want you to spend money with me? No, I want you to go buy the book.
Yep.
And use this. If you get a better system, fine, use that. But go to your local library or your book or secondhand bookstore. Here's the brand new one, but buy that. And let's look at who should investigate the 1 minute manager. See if they got something to learn for. Anyone who has to train any person, any task, so they can achieve a clearly understood and measurable outcome. Okay, clearly understood and measurable outcome. It might be a sales manager training a salesperson, a teacher training a student, a coach training a player, a trainer, training a client, a parent training a child. Everybody is a 1 minute manager, whether they know it or not. We've all got to manage somebody else in our life. It might be a new or current employee who's not getting a new job, but learning a new task or a new role or new software. Okay. So if you fit into those categories, you should really pay attention.
Which is every practice owner, Jamie, which is every owner of every business, unless they've franchised a thing with an inch of their life and never go near it, that's going to be every practice owner around. There's going to be teaching someone something at some stage. And it dawned on me then, not that I knew it, but the fact that we don't do anything in management. We have done absolutely no training on management at any of our university courses. I'm sure you didn't do it at architecture, wherever your first qualification was, or insurance. You didn't do it.
Yeah.
And wonder why we struggle. All right.
And remember, I said you cannot manage people. So let's look at this new screen. And to explain that, and this comes from Ken Blanchard, you cannot manage people. You can only manage their performance, what they do, how they do it, and the outcome. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can't manage people, only their performance. And the 1 minute manager or the new 1 minute manager is a great way of managing their performance, what they actually do, and the outcome. So there's the book, and you can substitute the word manager for trainer, teacher, or coach.
Yeah.
When you're reading the book, if you say, I'm more of a trainer, I'm more of a teacher, I'm more of a coach, fine, because the lessons are there. And
are they substantially different, Jamie? Is the first
no,
rewrite
it's substantially the same. They're a bit more PC, and the fact that it's more online now. When the book first came out, we'd communicate by very expensive long distance phone calls and fax and things like that. But now we've got the internet, email and social media and stuff like that. So it's sort of brought up to date, but it's still a parable. There are still 3 lessons.
All right, let's have them.
Yeah, let's jump into lessons. Okay.
I love a good lesson.
Firstly, there's 1 minute goal setting. Then there's 1 minute praising, and then there's 1 minute redirect. In the old book, it used to be called 1 minute reprimands, but now they've renamed it redirects.
Is that right? You can't even call it a reprimand anymore. What's the world coming to, Jamie?
Is
it the 1 minute flogging, the 1 minute beating? No, redirect. A redirect.
That's right.
You must have chuckled when you read that. I was waiting for the 1 minute reprimand. I was waiting for it to come out. You must have thought, no, you're a dinosaur like me. I thought that's
absolutely. When I was at school, we had 2 punishments. We had detention and the cane.
Yeah.
But then they got clever. They introduced a 3rd punishment, which is the choice. What do you want, pain or detention or Saturday morning detention? But they can't do that stuff anymore. So
redirect. All right.
Anyway, so let's jump into it. So 1 minute goal setting. Let's jump into that one first. Everyone whom you manage now in the future failed one subject at school and university. This is a big management secret. Okay. You failed this. Paul, You failed this subject. Helen failed this subject. All your employees failed this subject. Everybody watching this, they failed the subject. All their employees failed that subject. What was it? Mind reading. They cannot read your mind.
Yeah.
All right. You just got to really get that into your head. They can't hit a target. They can't see. They don't clearly understand. So let's look at an example. Let's say you've got a salesperson that's selling your your therapy sessions, a word like that. There's a lot that you need to teach them. Like inbound phone call. How do we answer the phone around here? How does that lead to an appointment? Outbound, somebody opts in. How do they make that phone call? Do you have a script? Have you role played it? Walk in. Somebody walks into the physiotherapy practice. Do you have a meet and greet procedure? Do you have a sales process in the center? Typically, our sales process has pre-qualification, asking about their past history and things like that. A demonstration, proofing. Listen to Steve Jensen. This is how our program works to help solve that problem. A price presentation, selling profitable programs. Overcoming objections, that's important, or concerns. An enrollment process so that people can sign up and it's frictionless. Booking the next step. That sales process, as you know, with our Diaflex coaching, most of it is via Zoom, completely lockdown proof, and doesn't matter where the customers live. PDR stands for practice, drill, rehearse. Do ever rehearse these processes with your team. The database management, driving referrals, social media content. These are all just key tasks. Let's say the basic one. How do we answer the phone around here? Do you have a system for training a new staff member how we answer the phone system around here to generate the results we want to generate? So these are samples. And reporting of KPI.
Can you go back one slide, Jamie?
Yes.
For those watching. So what we've got here, guys, is a list of 11 different items that Jamie pulled together for a salesperson. In your practice, you might be thinking, I don't have a salesperson. Yes, you do. You've got an admin team member. You've got a therapist. You've got someone ringing up. You've got. They are your salespeople. It could even be you. Point Jamie's making here. What is the process for answering the phone, and does your team know it? Do they do it consistently? If you've got an inquiry, someone left a phone number on the message bank, and what's the process for calling them back? Or they've filled in a form that they're interested in your lead magnet for your Achilles tendon problem or program. What's the process? When someone walks in off the street, what's the process? What happens when they arrive? As Jamie said, the pre-qualification, the paperwork, the questions about price, it's the same. It's just you've got to look at your business and what are those steps involved? Sales process, practicing. What's the schedule for practicing with your admin team? Do you ever do any practice with them at all? This will horrify you, Jamie. I'm staggered the number of health businesses who have part-time admin who just come in because they just think they need someone to answer the phone. I just need someone to answer the phone without any really thought about what damage that person might be doing with how they're answering the phone. Probably happens in a lot of other studios you've seen, but
because the owner didn't have a process, and this is where the 1 minute manager comes in, and a process of training that new employee in that process. It's not the new employee's fault.
No.
Okay. Now, of course, businesses can hire experienced, highly trained people, but they're expensive and they leave. So the only security for a business owner is to be constantly recruiting and constantly training. So business owners have to see themselves as, well, we're trainers because we've got a training process. And as a matter of fact, that way you'll become more attractive to people who have great aptitude because they'll learn from you and more likely to stay with you longer.
Shows you the impact. Going back 30 odd years, Jamie, I'm sure it was in one of your sessions at one of the conferences, and you made the comment, I remember it to this day, you'll always be hiring. Definitely. You're always going to be hiring. And I didn't know that at that. So I thought, well, I'd get someone when someone leaves and then I'm fine. But it just opened my eyes. You're always hiring, and just you accept that as part of the business. Otherwise, you're going to be a slave to your staff the whole rest of your life, which Yeah. Lesson from Jamie Hayes 30 years ago.
Well, there you go. Thanks for remembering it.
Few
Let's
things I
dive in
remember.
because I want to get to the empowerment business, so, you know, the side of it. Okay.
Yep.
So you can see my screen. Yep. So there's a
No, I
lot.
can't. No,
Okay, fine. Sorry, I beg your pardon. Share. So the
we're going back to
here,
the. Yep.
you got that? Okay.
Yep.
So there's a lot to teach them and for them to master. Okay. So, you know, all this stuff. So if you're managing, here's the lesson for you. If you're managing someone doing a job or a role or a task, or you're training them, break the job down to key tasks and be crystal clear on the measurable outcome. So for instance, we said a key task is, this is how we answer the phone around here. This is if we get a web inquiry, because we know speed to lead is so critical as to whether they become a client or not. Yep. This is how quickly we get back to that web inquiry. So, but don't think of a job. I'm training somebody in the job. Just break that job to key tasks, and it'll become much simpler, and you'll have a process. So, for instance, and this is, and we'll share these slides with people who are just listening online. But here is a way I learned from Ken Blanchard's other training as to how to train somebody in a task. Firstly, and you could have a training checklist for that task. Let's say the task is outbound calls to people who opted in on our website and expressed an inquiry, okay? Mm-hmm. And so there might be a bit of self-study, which is I read a script or I listen to a video that one of the team members recorded or audio. But anyway, I'm the new employee. My name's Jamie. I'm learning how to make these phone calls. So I did some self-study because it was on a sheet. Please read this script. Please listen to this audio. Please watch this video. Okay. And that's the date completed. The next is I shadowed a team member who was already good at making those phone calls. So I watched a team member, a manager, a senior team member, or we might have done some role play. And the manager signs off the date they did it. But the training hasn't finished because I've studied the script and I've watched somebody. And this is a big mistake amongst business owners. You've got to show. So then the manager or the senior person says, now it's your turn. You make those calls and I'll sit right behind you and I'll tell you, don't say this, say that. Don't ask that, ask that. Listen to them. When you write down their details, write it down here on this sheet, and then this sheet gets, or on this database or whatever like that. So we've got self-study. They watch somebody do it. Then they demonstrate that they can do it the way we want it done. Yep. And then from time to time, it might get measured. So you can develop for every little task a training checklist. And here is the empowerment thing. The owner does not need to create the self-study bit, because let's say Judy, who is a fantastic receptionist, always books, when people call, she just always books them in. It's just a no-brainer. She does it. We're going to record how Judy does it. Yep. We're going to get Judy to write the script. So so that becomes part of our operating manual or standard operating procedure, whatever you want to call it. And so we've just bit by bit had our team members who are good at doing a particular task help us develop the training checklist for that task.
So what you got to do here, guys? This is under 1 minute goal setting. Stay with the screen share, Jamie, because I was going through that thing. Yeah. So you've got to make sure you work out what the in terms of 1 minute goal setting. Work out what the overall job is. Break it up into tasks, and for each of those tasks, you then break that up into self-study, shadow, show, and measure.
Correct.
And you do that for each of the tasks. Is there going to be 1,000 things? Is there a limit in your business, Jamie?
Well, it really is unlimited, and sometimes you develop better practices, and so you change it and update it.
Yeah.
But there's no freedom without this.
And what I like too is that every one of those things are measurable. You have to. How are we going to measure that happened, or how are we going to measure the outcome of that? And then there's the goal setting. That's the measurement.
Definitely. And this will come into play when we start talking about praisings and reprimands. So it all fits into a process. So let's dive in. So just start with one task. If they cannot and do not complete, so this is an important message, 1, 2, and 3, saying, oh, I don't need to read that. Or, I feel uncomfortable watching you or you watching me. Then just consider not continuing them in this role, or if they're a new employee, just discontinue their employment.
Yeah, they can't do this. What are they? They're not going to do anything else. So if they can't wear a name badge, what chance have they got of doing a written treatment plan?
That's right. If they won't do a role play with you, look, I'm sorry, I don't think we're going to be a good fit. But you really want to, as quickly as possible, get them out of there. But you won't have any freedom having them in your business. So it's all about attitude and aptitude, their willingness, because you really need to say, it's not, do you have physiotherapy qualifications, but are you willing to learn the way we do it? Let me just stop my video and restart my video. So are you willing to learn the way we do it around here? Because we've got systems and processes that make us different, and this is the way we do things around here.
Yep.
But the good news is, wouldn't it be nice to go to work for a business that says, we have a system for training you? And guess who's responsible for getting all the ticks in an employee's training checklist? The employee. So you could make them responsible for getting all the ticks in the box. This checklist, it could be like, I think I might show you here. It might be a Google sheet or something like that. There's a sample of a Google sheet. It might be something like that, or it might be manual file. It doesn't matter. But you can say to a new employee, we have a system of training you in every task around here because we really want to have a quality control on everything. And we're going to have a training checklist. Here's all the things you're going to be learning, the way we do things around here. And you'll be responsible for the training checklist so you can manage that. You can do it at self-paced learning, if you like, so you make the employee responsible for getting ticks in all the boxes, not the manager, not you. Okay?
Break it down into steps.
Absolutely.
As Jamie just did, and then put somewhere to measure it and put somewhere to check it off that they've done it. Yep.
Absolutely.
And keep doing it. Love it.
So, and then so you want to share your 1 minute process. Tell them you aim to help them succeed by being crystal clear, and you'll be letting them know in specific terms what they are doing well, what they are not doing well, and that both of these might be uncomfortable, getting praisings and redirects. You must be willing to give this feedback, and they must be willing to receive it. Get their agreement. So, Paul, are you willing for us to give you feedback?
Yes, I need to know this. I think it's important for me because again, Jamie, it goes back to how you've recruited me, and I come on board knowing that this is going to be what I'm getting. Is this sometimes the challenge, Jamie, when an owner gets a session like this and then gets all worked up, and then they go back to their current team who've been doing it their way for 10 years? Is there often staff departure? This is what scares a lot of owners.
But I think they're transparent, saying, hey guys, we've been a bit ad hoc and we haven't documented systems and processes. And if we were going to expand and create opportunities for everybody, we need to start running this business a little bit more professionally and having documented systems and processes, because I want each one of you to become a potential manager so that you can train somebody in your role so that you can go up.
And we need your help, because we need you're doing this really well. We'll be using you guys to help create the training because you're so good at it.
And let me share a slightly uncomfortable conversation and let's say you're a new employee, I'm the employee, okay? So Paul, you're the new employee. I say, Paul, firstly, let's just have a truthful conversation. You're joining me here at Body Express, and we know you're not going to be here forever. One day, in 6 months or 6 weeks or 6 years, you're going to leave because you got a job offer to be the fitness director of the P&O cruise line, or you want to go invest 200 grand and open up your own studio, your own physiotherapy practice or whatever. And your ability to do that and to get people to invest money or lend you the money to do that will be very dependent on the systems and processes you learn while you're here.
Yep.
And the outcome you achieve. So, Paul, in reality, I am nothing but your stepping stone to your green pasture, whatever your dreams are for you and your future. But while you're here, I want you to step hard. Is that okay? So I'm going to be tough with you. I'm really going to be tough to help you achieve that dream outcome whenever it comes.
Yeah.
Now, when you have that conversation, a real conversation with somebody, they know you're a realist and you have their best sort of goals in mind.
Yeah. And I think the bottom line there too, no one's working for you. They're all working for themselves with your guidance. You're helping them. Yeah.
They are definitely, and you're fooling yourself if you think they're just working for you, for their outcomes. So, and you can feel the passion and the emotion and the truthfulness when I did that mini role play with you.
Yeah.
They feel it and they will stay for longer. They say, because all managers are looking for good people, but in reality, good people are looking for good managers.
Yeah.
So, and they'll actually work for less if they've got, they say, listen, if you have worked for, let's say, Justin Tamset or Steve Jensen or whatever like that, they are such fantastic managers. They're hard ass, but boy, will you learn, how to run a business well,
Yep.
And so, anyway.
I'm looking at the clock, Jamie.
Fine.
We've got 17 minutes. We've got 2 more of our 1 minute things. We've got 1 minute goal setting.
Right, fine. Okay. So 1 minute praising. Thanks, Paul. So this is all about catching people doing things right. So praise their behavior. Great. You're doing a fantastic job. Do it as soon as possible. Be specific and do this.
Do you want to share your screen, Jamie?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah. So 1 minute praising. This is about catching them doing things right. Praise their behavior. You did exactly the way we trained you. Do it soon. Be specific. Let them know how good you feel about it. You can pause and say, let them feel, that those good feelings, and just reinforce, encourage them to keep up the good work and proceed with more success. But there is a big but here. You don't want to wait until they get it exactly right. So, Paul, you said you have 4 children, right? No doubt there was a point in time where they were struggling and learning to walk. Did you wait till they could walk all the way across the room before you praised them? No. When they were just falling over and trying to get up and leaning on you and things like that, you gave them plenty of praise. So actually you caught them doing things approximately right, because the journey to exactly right is made up of a whole series of approximately rights.
And that might be, really liked how you did this, Jamie. I really liked how you did. It might not be the full thing, but really liked how you made the person feel special. Even though they mucked up the rebooking, really, that was very, very good. Well done, Jamie.
Fantastic. I'm feeling that. Okay. So we're in role play. I'm feeling that from you. That's absolutely fantastic. So, so catch people doing things right, catch people doing things approximately right, and then we get to redirects. And Paul, I've got to say that what used to be 1 minute reprimands, now 1 minute redirects, this is where the owner chews themselves up. That's, I won't say anything. I'll just write it down. I'll remember it. And the owner loses sleep. The owner loses perspective. The owner gets the chest pain, the heartache, and, these people, I can't find any good people. They're all rat bags or whatever like that. So this is a way to relieve all that stress, what we call the redirects now. So firstly, somebody's doing things wrong. Look at the checklist, get that checklist out and say, was the training complete in how we answer the phone around here? Did they read the script? Yep, they did. Did we show them? Yep. Sally, our senior person, she showed them how we answer the phone around here. Did Sally ever watch her answer the phone? No. So we didn't check to make sure that they understood. We forgot that they are not a mind reader. Okay. So, and you don't want to reprimand a learner, because they will end up thinking not what they did wrong, but how you treated them. And we've all had that circumstance where we've been in an employment situation and we were spoken to unfairly, where we felt it was unfair.
Mm. What I'm hearing, Jamie, and it's so right. We have clients in our program who might be wanting to fire a person. They might want to get rid of them. And my usual initial response is, have you earned the right to fire them? Is it their fault or is it your fault? And so many times it's the owner's fault. They've employed them without giving them these guidelines or goals and everything else in the training, and they wonder why they haven't got it right.
Yeah. Although sometimes they get to a point where they've been a proven performer and they stop performing, and you say, is this a training problem or an attitude problem? And if you've got that training checklist, you can come back and say, hey, Paul, why have you just let go of our systems and started doing it a different way? You are one of our best. So I've given you a reprimand with appraising there. You're one of our best. What can I do?
Is everything okay?
That's right.
Are you okay, Jamie? Are you all right? Because it's so out of character. Is everything okay?
Yeah. Exactly. And now sometimes it might get to somebody saying, look, I've got this shit happening in my life and I'm going to resign. Fine. Okay. Wish you all the best. But you need to have a process. So in performance management, let's use that management phrase, if you've got a training checklist, it's a heck of a lot easier. All these conversations are a heck of a lot easier. So let's dive in, because Paul is keeping me accountable for my time. So
on my checklist. On my checklist.
Can you see that?
Yep. Re-clarify and agree on goals.
Agree on the goals. Yep. Confirm what just happened. What went wrong. You want to do this in private. If you redirect or rep runs, whatever you call it, always do it in private. And do it quickly. Say how concerned you feel. Pause. Let them feel their own concern. So let them feel how you feel and their own concern. They've let the team down. Tell them they're better than that. I just did that then with you, and that you value them. So because you want to redirect them, get them back on track. You're the co-pilot here.
Yep. And
when it's over, it's over. Get back to business. Proceed to better performance. So, Paul, here's a game plan. So start. Let people know upfront what you're going to be doing to help them. Because you asked that question. You've listened to Jamie's session with Paul and say, oh, we're going to start doing this, but you need to let them know. Be transparent. So 1-minute goals, make it clear what the goals are. Show them what good behavior looks like. Put each goal on a page. Use the goal training checklist. Quickly review the goals frequently. Encourage people to notice what they're doing to see if it matches the agreed goals. If not, urge them to change what they're doing so they can win. If they do it properly, you're going to give them praisings. You're going to praise their behavior. You're going to be specific. You're going to say how good you feel about it. Let them feel good and encourage them to keep up good work. Proceed with a more process. If they're doing something going off track, or the goals are not being achieved, which means you lose, see the checklist to make sure the training complete. If not complete, go to 1-minute redirects, re-clarify, agree on the goals, confirm what happened, describe the mistake, do it in private, say how concerned you feel, let them feel their own concern, tell them they're better than the mistake and that you value them, because you're looking at the behavior, not the person, okay? When it's over, and then proceed to better performance.
Is there a ratio? I mean, we often talk, catch them doing something right was one of the original things. In as business owners, it's common we get caught up in just finding mistakes and finding problems. Do they ever suggest a ratio of 5 to 1? Or
Ken Blanchard, I forget the exact ratio, but it was something like 4 or 5 to 1 that the employee's perception of balance is that there is about 4 or 5 praisings to every redirect. And then there's the perception of balance. I'm being managed fairly.
At what point in your experience, because you systemized your businesses really well, you got this managed well and checklists and everything else. At what point did you say you're not the right fit? At what point did you sometimes hold on too long to people because like what was your experience? Because we don't like firing people. We typically don't. And especially, Jamie, when there's a low labor environment in healthcare, hard to get therapists. So where do you sit with that?
Well, you have to make it. You really have to make a judgment call. You're willing to pay the price, for tolerating poor performance, both on your stress levels, and on the business profitability and things like that. But if you are, remember I said, your insurance policy is to be constantly recruiting, constantly training. So if you're constantly recruiting potential winners, bringing people into the team, growing the team, and things like that, you're better off. So that should a team member have a change in attitude and the performance starts suffering and you can't redirect them, you just need to have a process. Otherwise, I know business owners who have simply shut their businesses. They say, or said, I'm just doing it all myself. I just can't get any good people. Nobody will do what they're told, whatever. So, and that's not a business you can sell, because really, remember that org chart, the profitability of the business and the lifestyle is your EBITDA, multiply that by 3, that's the value of the business. So we're in the wealth creation business as well. And if you ever want to grow, you need to be able to attract and train and retain team members. Yeah, but they're not going to be there forever. So I don't think there are any good options.
So understand the model. I mean, you could run your own practice as being the only person, as long as you're happy with that model. You don't want to train people. You don't want to do these systems. You can decide that that's a business decision, as long as you understand there's no value in the sale at the end of the day, and you'll limit your trading time for dollars. And that's okay, as long as you understand your decision.
Definitely.
All right.
So,
all right.
Yeah, go.
Anything else you want to share? Because I want to ask you one thing that's outside of this.
Okay.
Anything else in about?
So let's quickly say, just remember, we're all managers looking for good people looking for good manners. You can buy the book anywhere, share the book, give it to give the book to your team members. Here are some of my coaches, and my coaches coach other people. So if anybody's got any questions, then shoot.
Okay, question I go for, because we get this a lot, because it kind of follows into managing people and everything else. Fitness industry have always been, I think they've been very good on bonuses, structures, sales, incentives, and other things. What have you found to be the best, if any, incentive systems that you've seen? A lot of allied health businesses, they'll have a wage plus a bonus, or some will just be a straight percentage or whatever they generate. What's your take on financial incentives and bonuses? Does it work? Does it not work? I'm curious on your history of it, because you hear all sorts of things.
Definitely not every employee is money orientated. However, if you want to have low fixed overheads, like variable overhead, so that if income goes up, particularly in a particular area, that person's earnings go up, I really suggest that the business owner has a business plan for each role, which is, if you do this, you get this. So it's super, one-page business plan. Keep it simple, saying if you get this number of billable hours, this threshold, you get this, at this threshold, you get that. So it's crystal clear, because remember, they all failed mind reading. Don't say, oh, we'll employ you now and we'll look at some incentives later. Just before you run the ad to recruit somebody, create a one-page business plan that makes sense for that person. So I think that really, really helps and gives clarity and transparency, so that in advance, and their business plan has to fit into your business plan.
Because sometimes, Jamie, from what we've seen, incentives actually demotivate people. Like, look at, you'd know this as well. When was it April was always a pretty ordinary month for sales in some practices, in some health, some fitness businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And if the sales guy was being rewarded by a total sale figure for the month, and they were never going to make the April figures, they'd stop selling the last 2 weeks of April, and so they moved it over to May. It can be demotivating. Is that any solutions, or it's just looking at each case individually?
Well, firstly, the greatest source of revenue within most businesses is actually from the service delivery and having repeat sessions with clients, keep them coming. Sales brings in new clients, and when you've got some industries like the fitness industries that absconded their responsibility for marketing lead generation to the salesperson, then they churned a lot of salespeople because they said to the salesperson, "You've got to create your own leads." Now, I think that is super inefficient. A good manager will have their salesperson as fully employed as possible, seeing new potential clients. So, and that's why I like to separate marketing and sales.
All right. Last question for you. I know you got to go. Biggest business lesson that you could share with us today? Because you've been around this in business a long time. What's the biggest lesson we could and should learn from your experiences as allied health professionals? What's a big one? Is there one big one?
Yes, well, I think I would say get clear on your key performance indicator as a business owner. For most people, it is the amount of cash they take out of the business and their lifestyle, and have a board meeting with your fellow director or directors, which may be your spouse, on the 15th of every month so they can look at it. And just say, because profit and cash are lag indicators, number of inquiries are lead indicators, the number of new inquiries coming to your business. And that leads to a number of new client sales and things like that, how many new clients you're enrolled. And let's say you've got children, and Paul, you have 4 children. And let's say you put a scorecard on the fridge, and over the quarter, if we hit this target in revenue, we go to Surfers Paradise for a week. If we hit this target in revenue, we go to Disneyland. If we don't hit this target, we stay at home and watch Netflix. And so every night when you get home, your business manager can be your children. They say, "Daddy, what do I put in the box today?"
Where are we going?
Where are we going?
Where are we going on holiday?
Because they're your shareholders too in your life, aren't they?
Yeah, I love it. I know we didn't talk about much today, but Diet Flex, if you're looking at putting your current business, if you're looking at putting a weight loss stream and income stream into your, which I'd highly suggest you look at, guys, because it's a valuable service and it's possibly missing opportunity for it. Where do they find out more about Diet Flex and you, Jamie? What's the URL and website?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Paul, and thanks for that. That's very kind. If they go to dietflex.com.au, follow the links, they can schedule a Zoom with me. Actually, by the way, that's a little business tip. Always have a page on your website with your name, with your calendar, so you can tell people if you want to book a session with me, bang, stick it in there. But I'd like to share a little saying I got off my mother's kitchen wall. It goes something like this: "I shall pass this way but once. Therefore, any good I can do, any kindness I can show, let me do it now, for I may not pass this way again."
And you've lived your life like that, Jamie. I know from what you've done, you've been a servant of the industry, you're a servant of people, you've always been available, you give your time available. I reach out to you, yeah, let's do it. And you've always been like that. So, mate, it's hats off to you how you and Ellen have done it. But on behalf of Profit Club, thanks for being part of that program. That was fantastic, mate.
Paul, all the best, and all the best to your members. I hope they grow their business as a result.
Beautiful. Now, if you're not currently a member of Profit Club and you've been totally blown away by the quality of Jamie's presentation, there's a heap of others out there, lots from Steve Jensen, other leaders. Hursty's on it, Jamie. There's
fantastic.
The plethora, Champion, they've all been on it. So again, if you haven't joined Profit Club, head to mypracticeology.com/Profit Club. If you want to have a chat to me about your business, like Jamie, head to mypracticeology.com and organise a time there to have a chat. I'll see you on the next episode.